Starting this morning in seated posture. So just grab your block. Take a moment to settle your breath. So just wriggle the bum out a little bit. Bring the heels in or crossing your ankles. Or sitting on your knees, you could straddle a bolster or a block if you want. Really here just to sort of take some breath into the body and do some twists and side bends. So I'm going to allow the palms to rest down on the thighs. I'm a little bit tight in the sort of upper thigh area, front of the hip flexors this morning, from yesterday evening's class. So I'm concentrating on trying to let those legs down, sitting up nice and tall. Feeling of the groins opening out a little bit. Just noticing where the tight spots are. Trying to be a little more conscious of how my body feels. Slowing the breath, and let the mind slow as well. Just gently open the eyes. So a little bit of a wriggle around. We'll take it into a twist. So we'll simply twist to my left. Rotating the shoulders around a little bit. Now you can let the chin follow the rear shoulder if you wish, or you can have your chin following where your heart is pointing a little more. So you're trying to keep your head directly above your spine, allowing your spine to open up as tall as you can in that rotation. Just take it across gently to the opposite side. To the center of the breath. So just one little left hand out a little bit. We'll take the right hand high and then bring the arm against the ear and see if you can lower into that bottom elbow. Just keeping your right knee attached to the ground. Press back up. Out to the right. The thumb lifts. Press the left leg down as you bend. Put the arm over and across. It's kind of one movement. Just do that 2 more times to each side. So just easing out. Noticing how the body feels, noticing whether it's easier to move to one side or the other. Try and use the exhale to come up. Turn to this side. Turn to that side. I'll just untangle the legs and give the knees a bit of a hello. Rub and roll the ankles around, spread the toes a little bit. Then I'm going to come onto all fours and come to hero's pose. So I'm going to use the block again towards the sitting bones. Bring the knees together and the feet further apart than the hips as I sit gently back down. And then once you're settled, grounded, we'll take an arm flow. So just inhaling hands directly above the head, bring them back in through the heart as you exhale. Let's let the hands just become above the shoulders. We'll take a little twist in towards the right side as we exhale. Bring hands back up on the inhale. Across to the opposite side, and the hands drop. Across, down. Finish over this side, hands high, and then down and forwards as we lift up gently. Move the block out to the side, knees a little wider, toes underneath, so I'm now sitting on the heels. Body weight to sink into the wrists a little bit. Rolling a little bit from side to side as well. And then pace the fingers to the side, thumbs forwards. Just let myself sink there a little bit. I'm also going to start to just draw one shoulder forwards and then the other. So, and sort of changing the angles a little bit through the wrists. I'm also getting a little bit of a sidey bend, just flowing from side to side. Fingers stretching, the shoulders stretching out. Coming back into the center. I'm going to take the hands as far forward as I can, with the fingers towards me. Hand down, thumbs pointing out. Cat's paws. Press down through the feet, push forwards a little bit so I can take the weight out of the forearms, bring them the opposite way around. I'm going to bring them all the way into the front of the mat, bring the knees now underneath the hips for cat-cow. Drawing the chest forwards, rolling the shoulders back. The spine to the sky as you draw the belly in. Getting the idea of moving the pelvis around underneath. Getting a bit of fluidity into the spine as well. Nice deep stretch across the shoulder blades. Back into a neutral spine. Take a little breath from there. Go tuck the toes of the right foot underneath and slide the leg back. Press down through the left shin a little and just slowly take your foot away from the floor. You're doing your best to keep your hips square to the ground, and your belly button and pubic bone on that center line. And then we'll slowly take the left hand away. Important to get the left and the right sorted on that one, otherwise we fall over. That's the right leg lifted, left hand forwards. Bring the hand and the knee back down to the floor. The toes on the opposite leg, so that left leg slides back. Press through the right shin, lift the foot away from the floor again. I do want to press out through the heel. The foot is flexed, toes down towards the floor. Try and draw and engage those tummy muscles in a little bit. And then slowly take the right hand out in front. So we're trying to get the nice straight line through the body. And wobble around as little as possible. Which is sometimes easier than done. Bring the hands down and knees down. So we'll take that again, but we'll just take it into the twist. So that right leg goes back and lifts. We press into the shin. Left hand comes forwards as we bend the right knee and we sweep the arm around. Find that foot back there somewhere. And then deliberately open the chest to the long side of the mat. Press down through that hand. And push the shins away from the right leg. Release the lat out, lengthen it out, square ourselves to the ground, and then bring the hand and the knee down to the floor, and immediately swap over to the opposite side. So just following the fingertips with your eyes allows you to find your foot back there. You can kind of wave your leg around a little bit to connect. Release. Now square up. Bring everything to the floor. We're going to come into child's pose and keep the knees in that narrow setting. Just take the hands forwards. So elbows are off the ground. Let's see if we can get the head to the floor. Now bring the hands back onto the mat. Lift ourselves gently into down dog. Shoulders over the wrists, up the toes underneath. And let ourselves lift up and just stretch those legs out a little bit. And just getting an idea of how the shoulders feel, how the back feels, how the hamstrings are this morning, right down to the muscles that sort of connect the heel and the calf together. You feel that sort of stretch, pull, maybe down low in the back of the lower part of the leg. So waking the toes up a little bit. Now you can, if you wish to, scissor your right leg to the sky whilst we're here, or you can stay in down dog and pedal. I'm opening the hip out a little bit today, but just trying to keep the shoulders nice and square to the ground. And bring the foot back down, and then I'm going to take the left leg likewise towards the sky. Stretch into the buttocks. And bring that foot back down. So we come into plank for everybody. And I'm going to just lift the right leg to the height of the hips and bend the knee. I'm going to roll onto the left side of the left foot, bring the right foot over and open up. into a little bit of a flip dog. And then we'll come back into that high plank. Make sure the fingers are right up the front of the mat. The left leg, bend the knee, roll it over to the side of the foot. Keep the hips high, open the chest, and bring ourselves back down. So we're not fully opening up the chest and that and shoulders. We're back in down dog. I'm going to walk the hands in towards the toes. And we'll take a couple of rounds of full to half forward bend, just bringing the hands onto the shins and having it. And we are going to do quite a lot of flip dogs today. So that was our kind of opener into the shoulders and the chest to see how they feel. If your shoulders are feeling tight, or you have had an injury in your shoulders that you've been working with and getting over, then this might just be a little bit too strong to do all flip dogs from down dog. You might want to move into the plank and then flip from there and just bring the body sort of halfway across, so your chest is facing the side of the mat rather than up towards the sky, which would happen a little bit more in the flip dog from down dog, if that makes any sense. But you get to see it pretty soon anyway. So just take it easy with your shoulders. Remember, there's alternatives. You can always come into that plank and flip from there. Up for the last time. Down for the last time. We'll take the feet, just wiggle them out towards the outer edges of the mat and soften the knees a little bit. Bring my bottom all the way down to about the height of my knees, so it's quite low. Thumbs only a couple of feet off the ground. And then ragdoll myself out. So I drive through a rounded back, through the legs, let myself lift up. Then take the arms up towards the sky on breath in. And bring the hands through the heart and exhale. Just shake it all out a little bit. Just come up to the front of the mat. Bring the hands in towards the heart. Exhale down to the floor, long and slow. Weight in the toes. Take a little breath. And we'll take the right foot to the back of the mat into lunge. So we'll slide that foot as far back as we can. Be on the fingertips, the groins open a little bit. And actually concentrate just a fraction on drawing the tailbone and the sitting bones level to the back of the mat. So trying to keep them sort of aligned over across the mat. But sometimes you see people sort of leaning out to the side a little bit in the lunges where their bum's moving across. Just thinking about that, being centered on the mat. And then we're going to drop the back heel down onto the floor and bring ourselves into warrior two. So bring the hands alongside the body, lift along, come up into a warrior two. We'll take a few breaths here, this first round, and we're going to do the same on the second side. Try and relax the shoulders down a little bit. Turning the palm on the front hand, we'll take that arm up and the other hand down. Walk that arm down the leg and start to come into the back bends. We're going to try and keep the distance between the head and the arm the same. And then slowly straighten the front leg fully. Two straight legs. We'll soften the front knee. Back into warrior two. Hands into the heart. Hands come down to the floor. We'll take a little breath. Now we're going to step this front foot back into a lifted down dog. So scissor that up. And this is where we start to flip. So either coming into the plank or just dropping your top leg over to the right side of the mat, and then gently folding down, letting the chest open a little more towards the sky, and bringing yourself back up into that scissor dog. Draw the knee towards your chest, and bring your foot through to the front of the mat. Take a little breath, and step into that forward bend. Take that up towards the sky to mountain. Inhale the hands high through the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Again, we'll take the left foot to the back of the mat. Just wiggle that out. So we're just making sure we're maintaining this healthy knee over ankle principle. And fingers in line with toes. And again, the tailbone, just being conscious of how that is being pulled and directed down towards the back of the mat. Again, we'll drop that back heel in for warrior two. And hands alongside the body. Let ourselves float up into our warrior. And turn the palm. Prepare for that reverse warrior. Then start to feed into it as you walk your hand down your shin, the back of your leg. And slowly straighten that front leg. So two straight legs. Feels very much like you've got triangle legs underneath you. We'll ease our way back into warrior two. Bring the hands into the heart. Come down to the floor. So I'm going to scissor the right foot to the sky. Down dog. Bend the knee. Start to roll it over. Plant the foot down gently. Open the chest a little more towards the sky. There's a bigger opening on the shoulder. Bring ourselves back into the scissor dog. And draw that right knee through for the lunge. And then step it through. Hands onto the hips. Hands into the heart. Just change direction a little bit, coming into tree pose. So we're going to load the weight into the left leg. Take the right knee forwards. High. Out to the side. Try and keep the hips and the chest pointing in the same direction as the standing foot. And then bring your hand down to find your heel or in towards the top of the groin. I've got the wrong pair of underpants on today for this. The legs sliding around all over the place. More information than you needed. Oops, take a little breath. Let yourself step out gently or quickly as I just did. And then we'll take it into the second side. So loading into the right leg. The knee high. Out to the side. Bring the heel in. Okay, we'll let that foot come to the floor. Facing the front of the mat, we take the feet hip distance apart again. Bring the hands in towards the heart. Exhale over those thighs down towards the ground. And again up onto the fingertips. Lift ourselves forwards. Folding in gently. Take a breath. Take the right foot to the back of the mat. Allow ourselves to just step back into a scissor down dog. So the left leg bends, we roll over, flip our dog, open the heart, come back into the dog, scissor, draw that left knee in, foot through to the front of the mat. Take a breath and then step into the forward fold, hands onto the hips and lift up. Take the hands high, in towards the heart. Exhale down. Our forward fold, fingertips on the floor. Fold it in. Left leg back into the lunge. Scissor, and dog. Right leg lifts. Bend the knee and float it up. Open up the chest. Back into that raised down dog. Let the right knee come through. Lunge. Take your breath. Strong back leg. Press into the forward bend. Hands into the hips. Lift up. Hands high. into the heart. Exhale down. Fingertips for the heart. Fold it in. Taking the right foot back into the lunge. And then take a twist. Left arm lifts up. And comes down. Right arm lifts up. And comes down. Scissor dog. Left leg goes back up. Knee bends. Towards the right side. Come back. Scissor dog. Left leg comes in. Lunge. Step it through. Hands onto the hips. Lift up again, come high. Through the heart. Down to the floor. Fingertips lift. Forward it in. Left foot to the back of the mat. Right arm opens into the twist. Down. Left hand opens. Pressing out through that back heel. Scissor the right leg to the sky. Bend the knee. Roll it over. Open up. Back into the scissor dog. Knee to the chest. Foot through. A nice breath in the lunge. Push off the toes. Full bend. Hands onto the hips. So we'll take a lizard this time. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Up onto the fingertips. And come down. We're taking the right foot to the back of the mat, dropping the heel in. Bring your hands alongside your body. Float your right arm forwards as you open up into your warrior two. Now take the hands high, lengthen out again, and bring the hands onto the inside of this front foot. Lift the back heel towards the sky, spin the front foot out to the side to make some space. Allow yourself to lift the left hand up into the twist. Bring your hand back to the outside of this front foot. Turn your front foot towards the front of the mat. And then back into a scissor dog, left leg lifts. Knee bends. And we roll it over. And open the chest. Come back into the scissor dog. Draw the left knee through for lunge. Take a breath. Step it into the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips. And lift up. Inhale high. And through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Fingertips for the lift. Fold it in. Left leg back for the lunge. Drop the heel in. Warrior two. Allow yourself to lift. Inhale, hands high. Rotate and lengthen out. Hands onto the inside. Spin the back heel and the front foot. Right arm lifts into our lizard twist. Hand comes to the outside as you bring the foot back in. Scissor, right leg high. Bend the knee. Roll it over and open up. Come all the way back. Oops, caught the radiator. Scissor into the lunge. And step forwards into that fold. Hands on the hips and we lift up. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. Exhale forwards. Half forward lift. Fold it in. Right foot back for lunge. Drop the heel in. And lift into your warrior two. Right arm comes forwards and we lift up. Turn the palm on the front hand. Reverse your warrior. Straighten the front leg. Move towards the back of the mat. And back into your warrior two. Take the hands high. Lengthen out and down to the floor. We're into lizards. Raise the front, straight back heel. Spin the front foot. Left leg or sorry, left arm up to the sky, and then to the outside of the foot. Scissor the left leg high, bend the knee, drop it over, flip with the dog, and back up, into the scissor, foot comes through, lunge, and we're to the front of the mat. One more side to play with, lifting up. Hands through the heart, forward bend, half forward, fold it in deep. Left foot back, drop the heel in. Hands alongside to open into warrior two. Turn the palm into your reverse warrior. Straighten the front leg, ease it into the back of the mat. Back into your warrior two. Float the arms high. On the inside of the foot, spin the back heel, spin the front foot, twist. Take the hand to the outside, spin the foot back in. Right leg scissors, knee bends, and flip over. Open the chest, roll it back, scissor the leg, lunge it through, and step into the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips. Inhale up. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. Exhale down. Half forward fold. Fold it in. Step your right and the left leg back into down dog. Allow yourself to come forwards into a high plank and drop the left knee down to the floor directly under your hip. Slide your right foot out to the side and take it forwards until the heel is more or less in line with the heel of your hands. Tuck the toes of the left foot underneath. Slide your way back onto your heel. Lift your body up. And try and press a little out through this flexed long leg towards the front of the mat. Just a little as well. Come forwards again. Slide all the way out. Bring the foot back, sorry, the knee back underneath. We'll take the left foot back and slide that out. Move it around, pivot the toes towards the sky, put the toes of the right foot underneath as you sit back onto heel gently. Press out through the heel, lift the body. Still trying to have your pubic bone, belly button, heart, and chin following the line center of the mat. Slowly back up. Slide the leg back in. Lift into our down dog. Hands in towards the toes. Feet out, wide as the mat again. Toes are out a little bit, bend the legs so we sit down deep into that squat. Ragdoll again. Exhale to lift ourselves up. And then just shake it all out as you walk up into the front of the mat. Hands in towards the heart. So close your eyes, spread your toes. Open the eyes. Fold over the thighs and come down to the floor. taking a breath, we're taking the right foot to the back of the mat, and then just walking the fingers around to the long side of the mat. Turning the toes in, heels out, adjust if you need to. Now you want to have your hands preset at shoulder distance apart. You're going to fold the elbows towards the back of the mat behind you and try and keep the elbows drawn in towards each other as you fold over your hips. So squeezing the elbows in lightly, stretching the shoulders out wide. Pressing down through the feet, lifting the tailbone to the sky. And we'll lift ourselves up halfway. We'll turn the heels in. Walk your fingers towards your back foot as you bend your knee. Now you're going to need to move around a little bit and wiggle on the front foot, but basically you pivot on that heel and sit yourself down onto the rear heel that's raised and allow yourself to lift up. If you're able to get your foot flat to the floor in this position, great. You can actually sort of come more into a ninja style lunge. But if you're like me, you have to keep the heel off the ground because it doesn't reach. Keep your fingertips on the ground. We'll take a little breath and let ourselves move as low as we can all the way around to the front of the mat into the lunge. Step it towards the front of the mat. Take a breath. And take the left leg back and walk hands around to this side as well. And turning the toes in. And we're going to take the hands a little wider than the shoulders this time and allow them to move as far forward as we can. So try to get a nice straight line between the hands, the shoulders, and the hips. So draw the belly in and lift the tailbone up. Spread the shoulders wide on the fingertips or the palm of the hand. Pressing the feet into the floor. We're trying to just measure the weight evenly into the feet. So sometimes when you walk the hands forwards, you'll inadvertently take all the weight forwards as your hips move across. You really want your hips to be still over the center line of the mat, which hopefully was where your body weight started. So one last breath here, walk the hands back in. And then again, we can turn the toes towards the back of the mat, walk the hands down that way, pivot on that front heel, allow ourselves to visit the television and squat down nice and low. So we're still trying to press out through this heel a little bit. It's not just simply stretching the leg, it is actively trying to lengthen out. You feel the muscles in the top of the thigh kind of retract up as you try and lengthen your leg out. So you'll know that you've activated that stretch. Take a nice little breath there. Walk ourselves low and slow around to the front of the mat into the lunge. Take a little breath and step into the forward bend. Come right up to the front edge. So that's good. We'll bring hands onto the hips. Let ourselves lift. We'll take the hands high on the breath in. Hands into the heart and exhale down to the floor. Fingertips to the lift. Fold it in. Stepping the right foot to the back of the mat. Dropping the heel in. We're going to lift into warrior two. Right, comes forwards and we lift up. We'll take it into the reverse warrior. Straighten the front leg as we've done before. Come back into warrior two and raise the arms to the sky and bring them down gently onto the inside of the front foot, spinning the back heel up and the front foot out. Taking the left hand to the sky for the twist, we breathe in and then plant the hand down outside of the front edge of the leg. Rise, left leg up into the scissor, bend the knee, fold it over. Open the chest into the flip dog. Come back into the scissor. Draw the knee through for lunge. Walk the hands around to the long side of the mat. Turn the toes. Squat down into the back of the mat. And down. Take a breath. Lift up and swoop round to the front of the mat. Take a little breath and step into the fold. Hands onto the hips and lift up. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. Exhale down. Fingertips to the left. Fold it in. Left foot back. Drop the heel in. Lift into our warrior two. Take it into the reverse warrior. Straighten the front legs as we've done before. Ease back into warrior two. Hands high. Lunge out and forwards inside of the thigh. Spin the feet and adjust. Right arm lifts into the twist. Breath. Change the setting of the front foot. Bring the hands down. Scissor. Right leg to the sky. And the knee folded over. Flip your dog. Come back. Oops. Into the scissor. Draw the right knee through into the lunge. Put the fingers around alongside of the mat. Turn the toes and sink into your ninja style squat at the back of the mat. Breath in. Slow and low into lunge to the front of the mat. Walking around. Stepping back into a forward bend. Hands on the hips. Lift up. Bring hands in towards your heart. I'm going to step off the mat just to have a little bit more firmness under the ground. It's not a big heavy mat, but it's enough to throw my balance out. So if you like to do the same. Also, if you might want to use the wall as well, this one's a little bit trickier than it looks. It's called kite pose. So you're going to take a breath and load the weight into this left leg. And just lift the right heel off the ground. Allow the toes to move out to the side. And keep them on the floor to start with. So we're opening the knee out and the hip. Now, quite often what happens is the hips sort of turn off with the knee. So we want to bring them back. Make sure these two bones here are pointing in the same direction as the standing foot. Once we've done that, take the arms out into a Y shape with palms facing in. Find your focus point. And slowly start to extend your right foot out to the side. And you want to have your toe, big toe, as close to the floor as you can get. And rather than sitting into the hip joint, you're trying to bring yourself into an upright standing position. Just with one leg out to the side. And you'll notice how much your foot and your ankle and the muscles in the lower part of the leg below the knee are working. Everything's kind of trying to work out how to find some balance here. Because we're not using or sinking into the joints of the body like we would normally, which is a much more sort of natural proposition for us when we go into one leg. We're using muscle strength, trying to keep the toes just off the floor. You're going to bounce in a lot, or a little bit. Last breath. Whew. Bring the foot back in, let the arms down, and you'll notice how hard your shoulders are working as well. Everything kind of, the muscles crisscross across your body, which is the action that we're looking for. And hands coming towards your heart. Load into your right leg. Take the toes out to the left. Square. Inhale the arms high. Try and get those shoulders to relax. You know how much they can work. And then slowly begin to extend your leg out. So it's a pointed foot, the toe just off of the ground. As close as you can get, you kind of bump into it. Just even your breath will be enough to kind of move you around to touch the floor. Last breath. And then bring the foot back in. And shake out the shoulders again. Come back onto your mat. We'll take a little breath, bring the hands in towards the heart, hinge all the way down to the floor. Let's step back into a down dog as a transition and bring the knees to the floor and pivot the feet out to the side as I bring that block back underneath the bottom. Allow myself to lengthen the legs out in front. We'll start with the feet together and then come into a seated twist. I'm going to draw the left heel underneath and out to the right hip. Bring the right foot across. And I'm going to turn towards the left side. So this is what we call an open twist. Closed twist would obviously be bringing the chest in towards the thigh. So I'm still using this right arm against the leg and pressing them together a little bit. From there, tangle the legs, feet come together again. So we sit up nice and tall, we're centered. This knee is pointed towards the front of the mat, across. Again, twisting to the open side, keeping both sitting bones on the floor, pressing the knee and the thigh into that elbow a little bit, respectively the opposite way. So it's countering into each other. From there, both legs out, but this time hip distance apart. Now you're going to allow myself to bring the right heel into the groin, knee down to the floor. I'm going to put a little bend into this knee. And hands onto the shins. And hinge at the hips and see if I can bring my belly into my thigh first. Then I'll see if I can get the ribs to touch a little bit higher up the knee. Then I'm going to see if I can fold the chest in. And then finally I'll take the hands out. Press out through that front heel. Press the bent shin down in towards the floor a little bit. Keep the head in line with the rest of the spine, not dropping it down towards the floor, keeping the space in the back of the shoulders nice and free and easy to breathe into. It's from there and let myself come back up. And the legs back out again, cross over to the opposite side. Bending the knees, square up the hips. Belly onto the thigh. And the ribs. And start to let the chest sink. And the head come into position as the hands reach out. From there as well. Bring the heels into Sukhasana. So heels are aligned to the center of the groin. Take hands forwards, hinge over the hips. Let myself come down, as low as it feels comfortable to do, which might be high in some bodies or very low in others, or somewhere in between. Taking a few easy breaths here, still holding the belly in and actually pressing the tailbones very lightly towards the back of the mat. release from there. Just stretch the legs out, making a note of which leg came in at first, and then bring that back in first. Bring the other leg in, so crossed over the cross, if that makes sense. Sit up tall. So to roll gently over. Lift up from there. Just lengthen the legs out. And move off the block. I'll just take them out to the side. And I'm going to lie down so that my head is towards the front of the mat, but onto my side. I'm going to lengthen the legs out and the bottom arm so that I'm on the center line of the mat. And then I'm just going to simply bring the bottom hand back underneath the back of my ear and my head, just so that I can ease into this armpit towards the floor. And I've still got the hand gently in front of me here, lengthening the legs out. When you start to lengthen your legs away, the muscles start to engage, you'll notice whether your balance is feeling good through the core. You try not to let the hips roll back behind you and keep them very much stacked. Now, if you're finding your balance is tricky, just allow yourself to bend your bottom knee and make a bigger foundation area for you to sit on. If you're able to hold your balance, you're going to slide the top leg along the inner thigh with the opposite leg until you can find your ankle with your hand. And you want to have your knee point as much as you can up towards the sky. And again, remember, we're trying to stack the hips and be careful not to roll back behind yourself. That feels good. You can take a little breath from there. Walk your fingers down towards your toes. You can bring your knee a little closer in towards your body. And then slowly extend the leg out towards the sky. Now you want to take that carefully rather than try and sort of stab the heel out, because you're looking to find your balance the whole way through. Remember, we're trying to open the groins more maybe than we are trying to worry about the leg being straight. If the leg happens to be straight, great. You can flex your foot and press out through the heel and get that feeling like we had in the ninja squat, where the muscle contracts around the knee. I'm still trying to lengthen a little bit out through the lower leg as well to keep that active and strong. Knee and bring the heel back in. And you could simply roll over to the opposite side. I'm going to shift ends primarily because that way I can still watch the clock. It could be there all day. Easing my way down. Finding the line of the mat. Checking that out a little bit. And then bringing the hand underneath the back of the head and the ear. Just lengthening that shoulder out. Try and get your ribs as close down to the floor. The smaller the gap underneath the armpit you can achieve, the more balance you can have in the upper part of your body. Like sort of lengthen the legs out. When you feel comfortable, slide that top foot in. Take the hand, find your ankle. Try and pull the knee towards the sky. And again, if you feel comfortable here, Start to draw the knee in towards the body, take the hand, the fingers, index finger, middle finger around that big toe, get a good old connection there. And in your own time, start to slowly extend the leg out. Try and open the groin, so you're pressing the hip forwards, that top hip, and pulling the leg towards the back of the mat behind you. So there's quite a lot going on, as well as trying to hold your balance. And every now and again, you don't fall over. Only a question of time. The more you do it, the more chance there is that one day you're going to fall over. That foot down as well. And I'm simply going to allow myself to come into Shavasana. So I'm going to roll myself onto the mat. Use the block behind the back of the head if you wish, or just simply lay out flat on the floor and move the shoulders and hips out a little bit. Give the legs a little bit of a jelly wobble. And then let the feet hang out to the side. So with the shoulders through the spine, start to feel like you've optimized the length in your limbs and your torso. And eyes simply closed. to stretch those fingers and toes. And gradually let the rest of the ankles join in. So we're beginning to bring the nervous system gradually back to life. Awareness of the body. By connecting. Take another breath in, a little deeper. Use that to stretch out. Right, it feels good. Slide the heels along the floor and towards your body. And take the gentlest of hugs to be what it needs to be. After roll-ons for our right side, just be conscious of props lying around. Use your hands to press into the floor to lift up. Swivel back into a seated posture just to close that practice. Hands in towards your heart. Take the breath in, closing the eyes. And to exhale gently, letting the chin drop and the belly draw to the spine. Simply bowing to the floor to seal our practice. Inhaling with the breath to build the spine. Finally lift the head, open the eyes. Namaste. So hopefully you enjoyed a little flowy sequence today. See you again on that sit.